If you had a choice to have a $3 to $4 million spread down in Phoenix, or you could send that 400 grand per year to the Washington state government, what would you do?
All right, Zach Abraham, let's start here. Okay, ready? I'm going to say okay, breathe in through your nose. Hold it. Okay, breathe out. Breathe out. Okay,
yeah,
yes.
gotta let that one go.
All right, so you said that if they pass the millionaires tax, you will leave. You will redomicile. So they're on their way to doing that. What's your decision?
Already looking for real estate.
Wow, where?
Yeah, we're out. I'm not going to get rid of my primary home, but we're going to live here less than 6 months a year.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at either Idaho or Arizona at this point.
Yeah, crazy.
Looking at both places. Yeah, trying to make. I got to look into the tax rules and all this kind of stuff. If I've got a house here, I feel like it makes more sense to get the other place in Arizona. But I have so many clients and people that I just love in Idaho.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I get that, but Idaho is so similar to here from like a living, like the outdoors and all that stuff. So like at least in Arizona, you'd have some sun. And as you've said before, the taxes you'll save by doing that will basically pay for your house in Arizona eventually anyway.
Oh, it not basically, it'll pay for all of it.
Yeah.
I mean, so I will save. And this is the thing that I would just tell people, like I've been very blessed with a wonderful company and a wonderful job and a wonderful income, but I'm self-employed. I manage money for a living. Things can change really quick. So, I won't get too personal in it, but because of that, it's always been the way. My wife and I live on about 20 to 25% of what I make. And we put a lot away just because I've got employees. Right? So I've always said that. You look at what I make. I'm not an executive at Microsoft, right? If my business goes up, there's no wrongful termination suits I can file. I'm just done.
Yeah.
Right? And then after after a government agency came after us for nothing for 2.5 years and bled me for 150 grand, that's where I sat there and I went, okay, even doing things the right way and not getting in trouble is not even a safeguard. And so you have to think about things differently. And when you're looking at me and saying, and I'm not worth $100 million, right? Like I do very well, but I'm not at a place where if you took my income away right now, I can just keep living fat and happy. Right. I'm 43. I'm 44 now. I've been making that money for that long. So you can afford it. And I'd look at him and go, okay, if you had a choice to have a $3 to $4 million spread down in Phoenix, fully paid for, or you could send that 400 grand per year to the Washington state government, what would you do?
Yeah. Easy. And not to mention, as if you haven't been taxed already, as if you're not paying B&O taxes, as if they haven't taken hundreds of thousands of dollars from you off your success.
350 grand last year.
Right.
350 grand last year.
Absolutely insane. So we have discussed this issue of capital flight, right? And how it's just a reality. I mean, look at Jeff Bezos, and I played this clip for you from the beginning of the session. Here's a state representative denying the reality.
The idea that we have capital flight, I have not seen any evidence of that whatsoever.
And as I pointed out to him, little guy named Jeff Bezos, and then that exact same statement was made on the floor of the House during the millionaires tax debate on Tuesday, Monday into Tuesday.
There's a myth floating around today and yesterday that capital will leave Washington, this whole concept of capital flight.
As that is being said on the floor of the House, as they're pushing through the income tax on millionaires, I'm sure you've seen former Starbucks CEO Howard Schultz penned his goodbye letter to Seattle.
Yep.
And I won't read the full thing, but obviously, following in the footsteps of Jeff Bezos, he's going to Miami. And he says, this is retirement for them. They enjoy the sun. They have family on the East Coast to be closer to. But it's not an accident that he put this statement in there. He said, like many other Seattle-based companies, Starbucks today stands on the shoulders of the many Pacific Northwesterners who built the company. They help shape the culture, the benefits of the brand, contributing to the civic community and public life of the city and the state. It is our hope that Washington will remain a place for business and entrepreneurship to thrive, creating essential opportunity for those in Seattle and the surrounding areas. He's telling them why he's leaving, and he's warning them that if they continue down this path, more people will follow.
I've felt, especially since last night, and I've kind of wondered about it, and I can just put my finger on it today. I feel a sense of grief about this, honestly, because first of all, anybody that knows me knows that I'm not one to issue idle threats. So I'm, for better or worse, I'm a man of my word. I will not stay here and pay that tax. I promise you that, full tilt. But I was born here. Yeah. I own a home on a bay that I wanted to live on since I was 14 years old, that I wanted to raise my children on. I love it here. And I would rather my taxes. You know what? Did you ever hear me get on any one of your shows and gripe about the $350,000 I pay in local taxes?
No.
And here's the deal. I don't like paying taxes, but I'm okay doing it. And I've been given more than I need, and I'm happy to help out under two conditions. Don't use my funds in a way to hurt me and hurt those that I love and hurt things that I hold dear, like basic morality. And don't slap me in the face at the same time and tell me I'm the problem.
Yeah.
That's all I'm asking for. And you won't do that. And so like these other guys, I don't want to leave, but you force my hand. Now, I also am not, no illusions of grandeur. It's not like I'm going to tip the tax income scale upside down by myself. But I just know that there's a bunch of people like, another one. At the same time we're doing this, Katie Wilson is talking about issuing a vacancy tax. You are literally putting together a package that is looking at every business owner and going, hey, if you want to save a lot of money, get out now. Yeah. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because here's what's going to happen. You know what's going to happen to the vacancy downtown Seattle? What people don't realize is all of that commercial real estate is owned in non-recourse loans, meaning if you foreclose on it, it doesn't hurt you or your business's credit. Okay? So when they are going to make you pay a tax, you will take your keys, put them up in your hand, and you'll throw them back at the bank.
Yeah.
Okay? And now that's another employer leaving. Commercial property prices go down. No one's going to step in to buy them. You know why? Nope. They don't want people having to trip over homeless people and human excrement to get into the front door. Right? So honestly, the other thing is I don't think we're going to have to be gone for very long because I think you're probably looking at 4 to 7 years. This is a hellscape. It's that bad.
Yeah.
You could lose 20% of the state's revenue. This is a disaster.
Well, and also to your point, you said, I don't think I'm going to tip the tax scales by leaving. I mean, but in a sense, I disagree because there was this great, and I'm just going to read it for you because I can't really articulate it as well as he did. So Joe Wallen, you can follow him, Joe Wallen on X. He's like a corporate tax expert and he's got a blog and stuff. So he characterized it in this way. $3.4 billion a year riding on 16,000 households. That's how many people they estimate will pay this tax, 16,000 households. That's what Senate Bill 6346 asks us to bet on. 0.5% of Washington families funding a massive new reoccurring spending commitment. High-income earners are the most mobile taxpayers in the country. They have choices, they have accountants. When they leave, and some will, that $3.4 billion doesn't quietly shrink. The spending it funds doesn't go away. Washington would be building its budget on the narrowest, most volatile tax base possible. That's not a revenue strategy. That's a cliff. So you're thinking about, you're one of 16,000 households. Howard Schultz and his wife were one of those 16,000 households. And I mean, him leaving alone is a huge hit to what their projected revenue would be.
Yeah, both capital gains too. Remember, you're losing the income, the excise, and cap gains.
Yeah, they lost $1 billion in cap gains when Jeff Bezos left and sold his Amazon stock in Florida. So when you're talking about, that's very volatile. 16,000 households. How many of those even if, let's just be generous, let's say 1,000 leave, which I think you and I both agree that more than 1,000 out of 16,000 are gone.
I think it's going to be at least 30%.
I agree. And so now all of a sudden, this $3.5 billion they thought they were going to get every year that they've already spent. They've already spent it, right? Mm-hmm. And as part of this, to make it more palatable, they included some cuts to the B&O taxes for smaller earning companies. So now you've cut a few taxes here, and then you've spent all this $3.4 billion. And when it goes away, you're going to be more screwed than you were before you passed it. We're going to be in a deeper hole, a bigger crisis than they were even before they passed it.
Yeah, hey, I got a great deal for you, Zach. What's that? For an extra $500,000 a year, you can live the same life you're living here. What do I get for it? Nothing. Yeah, I'm good. I'll see you later. Who wouldn't make that decision? Right. This just nuts. It's nuts. And then on top of it, remember, I get additional relief. because either of the states that I'm going have lower tax rates than we do already. So not only do I miss out on that, I mean, I talk about feather in your nest. In a lot of ways, I look at this and go, Bob Ferguson, this is the nicest thing the state of Washington ever did to me. I'm going to make more money leaving this state than any other move I've ever made.
Yeah.
So and do you, like I they don't think it through. They just don't. I would love to pose it that way, where I'd go, okay, let's say you make $3 or $4 million a year. Do you want to pay an extra $400,000, $500,000 just to have the same life you do now?
No, and they might. There's a couple, of the woke millionaires who come forward. They're like, I should pay this tax, although one of them had to backtrack. But there's a couple.
Well, and he had
of
daddy's
these.
money. He was fourth generation money.
Right.
Anybody can come up and say that.
And it's like, I'm sorry, that's the exception, not the rule. People who got wealth, they didn't build it by being stupid with their money. And doing that is stupid, is a dumb thing to do with your money. And let me just show you, this isn't a coincidence that Jeff Bezos went to Miami. It's not a coincidence that Howard Schultz went to Miami. It's not a coincidence that people are choosing to bring their businesses, Starbucks moving to Tennessee. So this was an article in the Tennessean. So of course, Starbucks is opening up an HQ in Tennessee. So all these stories are happening around Starbucks. And so this article in the Tennessean talks about the differences between what Starbucks is getting in Seattle versus what it will get just for the simple act of moving to Tennessee. So Tennessee has a job tax credit. It provides companies a credit of $4,500 for every new high-paying job created. So in Seattle, they punish them through the payroll tax, through the jumpstart tax. There's an extra tax if you provide a high-paying job. And in Tennessee, they give you a tax credit of $4,500 for every new high-paying job. It doesn't stop there. They also provide an enhanced job tax credit for companies who create new jobs or expand their operations into lower income and rural areas. Additionally, the state offers an industrial machinery tax credit of up to 10% for the third-party purchasing, repair, or installation of manufacturing, distribution, and tech equipment. Also, furthermore, if you decide to move a whole headquarters to their state, you can be eligible for a sales and use tax exemption. So why people might say, well, Starbucks wouldn't move its headquarters. You know how expensive that would be? It would be dumb not to. Look at how much that they're giving them. And Florida is very similar. We want 4 or 5 years ago, when I was still at Fox 13, I had the mayor of Miami at the time, a guy named Francis Suarez, on the show. And he was doing everything he could to attract and give incentives for tech to come to Miami. Look at Miami now.
Yep. Yeah. No. And like I said, here's another thing that nobody's thought about. Nobody's going to move. Guys, fiduciary responsibility is going to cause a lot of these companies to move. Listen to what you just said. You're talking about a lot of companies, by moving, they'll have a 10 to 15% increase on earnings if they move. Just the move alone.
Yeah.
And the cost of moving, there isn't any. It's honestly, it's the best time to do it because commercial real estate is in a 2 to 3 decade lull.
Yeah.
It now is the time. That's what we said right out of the beginning is, I'm less mad today than I thought. In a way, it's more funny. I just kept thinking that they would turn the car before they drove off the cliff. They just signed their fate. This is going to be a fiscal hellscape in 5 years. Book it. It's just math. And if you read Ayn Rand, Atlas Shrugged, this is a tale as old as time. If you punish the producers in favor of the non-producers, you will end up with a bunch of the latter and none of the former.
Yeah.
And here we go. Where does capital go? It goes to where it's treated the best. You're treating it horrible. Here's another thing. You just made us the most highly taxed state in the country, and we have 6 to 7 months of darkness and rain. You guys are insane.
Right.
We're more heavily taxed than you are in San Diego. Yeah. I'm going to go buy a place in San Diego to save taxes.
Isn't that crazy?
Think about that. Yeah. Who wouldn't take that deal?
Yeah, you can get better taxes and sunshine in Florida. It's like, oh, geez, and the beaches and all that. I tell you what, though, if I move to Florida, I better get an invite on Jeff Bezos' super yacht. Hey. That's all I want. It's like Jeff Bezos. In fact, I'll just rent a room in your super yacht. I mean, I don't even need to, I got to play you this.
Airbnb it.
Airbnb it, right.
For him, yeah.
I want to play you a clip that was my favorite clip from the whole debate on the millionaire tax. Because I was, to the point earlier, I felt very down this week. Because, in America, we have all these protections in place for us, right? Or we're supposed to. But here you have this body of legislators who are passing something that they admit is against our state constitution. It's obviously unconstitutional, right?
No one's even made the argument that it isn't.
No, they can't, right?
Yeah.
So you think, okay, well, no, you know, they can do that, but then we have the courts, and that's the great thing about America is you have the judiciary, and they're here to defend our constitutional rights, except we know that's not what's going to happen. We know the state Supreme Court is going to say, no, it's constitutional. So part of me that in feeling so down this week was like, what recourse is there left? You know, no one's protecting us against these unconstitutional actions. This is a State Representative Matt Marshall, a Republican, summing up, I think, pretty well how I and many Washingtonians feel.
This is in direct violation of our Constitution. Not only did the voters pass an initiative just recently that banned a proposal just like this, I think it's disingenuous to then have a proposal like this claiming that there is support for democracy and then completely eliminate the citizens' ability to challenge this via referendum. The people have had enough. The people will voice it, and having this proposal where the people will not even get the chance to exercise their voice like they should via constitutional amendment to impose something like this, but via referendum is an insult to the voters of Washington, who are already fed up and are dangerously close to throwing tea into Puget Sound.
I mean, and I know that that's, maybe people thought that was hyperbole, you know, talking about basically Boston Tea Party 2.0. I'm not that far off. I'll be honest, Zach. I'm not
there.
that far off.
I'm there. You're chasing me out of the only home I ever known. I'm pissed.
Right.
And nothing's going to change that. And I'm going to be pissed until the day I die. Like, you're chasing me out of my home. And here's the other thing that really angers me. I have put more blood, more money, and more charity dollars than any of those losers.
Yeah.
Right? Sitting there, oh, it's for the good of the people. Hey, Bob, let's compare tax returns and see who's given more to charity over the last 10 years, me or you. And I will guarantee you the difference between the two you could drive a semi-truck through.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing about these liberals. They're really compassionate with other people's money, never their own.
Yeah.
Right? And so I've had enough. You're not going to spend my money to mutilate children and give prisoners sex change operations. I've had enough. I'm out in a lot of ways. Like I said, I'm kind of glad. I've prayed a lot about this and said, you know, hey, God, give me some clarity, give me some guidance. And the answer that I just kind of felt, I was like, hey, don't wrestle with pigs. You get muddy, but the pig likes it. These pigs love it. I'm not interested in the wrestle. I'm moving to another barnyard. I'm out.
Yeah. I will say, though, if we do want to engage in a little Boston Tea Party type action, I don't know what we'd throw in the harbor. There is a Boston Harbor north of Olympia. Did you know that? We have a Boston Harbor. And so, I don't know. I think we might have to stage something there. I haven't decided what the civil disobedience will be. I don't even know if it's public. Somebody just showed it to me on a map. So we might have to trespass. But you know what? We'll figure something out. All right, Zach, I was going to talk about Iran today, but there's so much here. So let's save that to next week when we can figure out how this disaster is going to turn out. There was a cargo ship hit in the Strait of Hormuz. Gas prices are already ticking up, as you know. So is it okay with you if we save it to next week, or you want to add something?
Yeah, totally. I'll just give just one piece of advice to everybody right now. Having 8 to 12% of your portfolio in oil or oil-related assets is a must right now. Do not listen to what's on the news. You're probably going to see oil hit 150 to 200.
Wow.
So just book it.
Okay.
Yeah, book it. You need some oil.
All right. Well, that's a good thing to tell people now. And then we'll follow up next week when maybe some of the dust settles on this and we see where things are. But for the first time ever, and look, Washington's gas prices are abnormally high because of taxes. We discussed this a million times. But
Watch what's about to happen.
I'm notorious for letting my gas get down to the EE. And it's kind of a challenge. I was like, how much will it cost to fill up? I've never hit 100 on my car. Today it was $98.15. So I was like, for the first time ever, it might take more than $100 to fill up my gas tank.
I think we'll see a return of double-digit gas probably within the next 30 days.
Wow. That's quite the prediction. Yeah. I hope you're not correct, because that's not going to be good midterm material either.
I'll be shocked if I'm not. Oil is going way higher, and this is a mess. Wow. This is a mess.
All right. Well, thanks, Zach. That was nice. What a fun, awesome, great.
Nothing but good news.
Okay. Yeah. All right. We'll see you next week.
All right. Thanks for having me.